Jagratav. Jai Masters. Eventually, you come to realize that there are different aspects of your being. At one level, there are many aspects of your being. At another level, there's fewer. But that's why it's so complicated in life. Life is not complicated outside. Life is complicated inside. The reason it appears to be complicated outside is because we're trying to use the outside to fix the inside. That's the most important thing you will ever learn. When things are not comfortable inside, we're lonely, insecure, self-conscious, embarrassed, needy, whatever it is. When there's discomfort inside, the only thing we know instinctually, by habit if you will, is to try to create situations outside ourselves that make it more comfortable. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your entire life doing that. And you will measure the quality of your life based on how well you have managed to control situations outside so that you can sometimes feel better and sometimes even feel good, as long as the situations stay the way you need them to be. It's called being conditionally okay. It's a lot of work, and even if you get it the way you think you want it, it doesn't last. Either because people, places, or things change, or you change. And so it's like a moving target. It's hard enough to hit a target. When you hit a target that you're moving and it's moving and who knows where, you don't stand a chance. So eventually you catch on and you realize what I said earlier. It is not that the outside is complicated. It is that the inside is complicated. There are so many different aspects of you, so many different parts coming and going inside, so many different types of discomforts and so on. Then instead of working on that, what we work on is getting the world around us to make it more comfortable inside. So if it's complicated inside, you have now made it very complicated outside. Hope you see that. It's like, in psychology they use the word projecting. You are projecting the disturbances and instability inside yourself onto the world outside. If you feel like you want to be alone one night, then all of a sudden you need to get the people around you to not get hurt because you want to be alone. You got to create the space that you want. If you feel like you want people to be close to you, then you have to make sure that you're in the right place, the right time, and that people know what kind of mood you're in. You know anything about that? So all of a sudden, because you're unstable inside and it's complicated inside, all of a sudden it becomes very difficult to get things the way you want it outside. And it keeps changing. So at some point, you wake up and you start to say, what's wrong with me? And that's your first great awakening. There is something wrong with you. And I'm not picking on you. Something wrong with all of us. Seriously wrong. That is, it is unstable inside. The exact same thing that made you happy 5 minutes ago makes you miserable 5 minutes later. And don't you dare turn your head away. I've lived with this for a long time. All you know what they say, seen one, seen them all? If you've seen yourself, you've seen everybody. That thing is nuts in there. It's bananas. And that was 5 minutes. What about 2 days, a year? You know, why do you think there's so many divorces? Why do you think there's so many issues? Why do you think nobody can find stability? Because inside, it's not stable. Inside, it keeps changing. It's not stable in there. So at some point, and this is the great awakening, it's like a whole turning point in your life. Forget midlife crisis. Midlife crisis, when you work as hard as you can, half your life, to try and get the outer environment so you feel okay inside. And then at some point, you're halfway through, you open your eyes, you realize you are no more okay inside than you were when you started. You've got the wife or the husband and the kids and the car and this and that and the other thing, and there's just things you need to take care of, and they didn't do a single thing to make you better inside. All right? You are just as unstable. It is just as weird. Okay? So the alternative to a midlife crisis, or ever getting to that point, is to wake up sooner and to realize this doesn't work. I usually take, half of my talk to get to this point. So we're going to go deeper, I guess, tonight. You just wake up because you realize it doesn't work. What? I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I wake up in the morning, I'm scared to go to bed, and I kind of worry a lot. When I meet new people, I'm very, very uncomfortable. And when I have to do something new, I don't like it, and I'm scared. And after I end up talking to somebody, I walk away wondering why I said what I said, and I feel really embarrassed about it. I wish I hadn't talked to them even to begin with. And there. Anybody know anything about that? No, I thought so. Isn't it nice to know everybody's like that? They won't admit it, but that's what's going on in there. So it's not okay in there. And you know what? It's never been okay in there. Even when it gets okay in there, I meet somebody or I get something that I always wanted, I worry about losing it. And the more it makes me okay, the more I worry about losing it. So I'm never okay. Except for a brief moment. The sun is setting or a moment of intimacy, and all of a sudden I lose myself. That's very important. We're going to talk about that later. I lose myself in the moment. You've used that term before. Right? God, it was so beautiful. I just lost all sense of time. I lost myself. It was a spiritual experience. Yes, that is a spiritual experience. That is the one that's a spiritual experience. When you lose yourself. What do you mean you lose yourself? It means there's this part of me. Remember I said there were lots of parts? There's this part of me that's always there giving me a hard time. You shouldn't have said that. Oh my God, look at you. It's just sitting there, oh my God. Remember when you were 5 and you got in trouble? Oh my God, you never told anybody. Your karma's so bad. There's a pest in there, all right? That pest control doesn't get rid of. You have a problem in there. And basically, when you lose yourself is when you lose that self. When you in there, who has to deal with this pest, merges into the beauty of a sunset, or falls into somebody's arms, or goes deep into meditation. There are lots of ways you can get there. But all of a sudden, you're there experiencing beauty, love, peace, not the neurotic one. Can we call it that? The neurotic one? The crazy one in there that's always got a problem and making sure you do too? So to lose yourself is to lose that part of yourself, to move past that part, to not have to deal with that part. And that's what I want to talk about. There is a part in there that is not okay. It's the truth, might as well admit it. It's a part in there that's not okay. It's always got a problem. It's always scared of something, always worried about something, always neurotic about something. Something, that's nice. Usually it's 10, 15, 20, 30 of them. Get rid of one, there's the next one. Get rid of one, there's the next one. And it's been the way for a very long time. All it does is change what it's neurotic about. It doesn't change that it's neurotic. All right? And so you look at that and you stop. And I want this to be, if you haven't done it yet, I want this to be the time you do it. You take a look at it and say, wait a minute. I'm in here and there's this mess in here with me. And it's been there for as long as I can remember. Was it in high school? Oh, it was definitely there in high school. You're not, oh, for sure. Terrible twos? For sure. It's just been there complaining all the time, hasn't it? It's just what it complains about changes. All right? I want mommy. I want daddy. It just changes. You just get a little older, it changes its mind what it wants, but it still complains all the time and whines all the time, and it's got major problems. So you take one look at that one day, and you say, you know what? You have been running my life. Whatever you say or what problems you have is what I do. When you tell me, oh, I'm so lonely, I'm not happy, I'm alone, I don't want to sleep alone, I need somebody in my life. I listen to that. I go out and try to find somebody. Okay? Then somebody else, and somebody else. Because you complain about whoever I bring home. Eventually, there's something wrong with them. They leave the toilet seat up. They don't put the top of the toothpaste. I like my favorite when you get in a real close relationship, somebody tells you, how did you not know that I needed my space tonight? If you loved me, you would have known. But last night, you said you want... I know, you should have known that last night, too. You're supposed to know me. Oh, my God. It's like you can't do this. You can't dance with that person inside. So you wake up inside, you take one look at it, and you start talking to it. That's what I want you to do. I want you to talk to that part of your being instead of that part of your being talking to you. And you just sit there and say, what's the matter? And don't sit around because it'll give you a big, long list. It's kind of like a nothing question. Because it's got problems. And I gave you this talk once before. This is hard for you, but I swear I've done this for so long. Here's the highest way to deal with that. Understand it has problems. Don't try to fix them. What? Don't try to fix them. It has problems. There's a part of your being that's insecure. Yes, there is. There's a part of your being that's lonely, even when you're with people. There's a part of your being that gets embarrassed. There's these different parts in there, aren't there? get comfortable within yourself so that those parts don't disturb you. That is an alternative way to work with it, instead of, I need to make my insecurity be secure. I need to get rid of my guilt. You will work on thousands of parts of your being, and you think you have it solved till somebody does one thing you didn't plan. Next thing you know, that comes back up again. The only way to truly get beyond this is to get comfortable with it. Is to sit there and say, yep, I got a part of my being that's so neurotic, I wouldn't even tell you about it. It's private stock. And I think he's cute as a button. And what'll happen is I'll be walking along having a good time, doing fine in here, and all of a sudden he'll hear something or see something or think of something, and he comes back up, he's like that. And guess what I do? I just, down boy, shh, shh, come here. Like a little doggy, all right? I help him. Wow, you're the grown-up in there. You're in there, aren't you? You are in there. You do notice there's a part in there that's not doing so well, don't you? You have a choice. Either devote your life to that part, trying to get what it thinks it needs outside, trying to manipulate places, people, things, to be the way that makes it feel a little bit better. You shouldn't have said that to me. You hurt me. Apologize. No, apologize more. No, your face doesn't look like you meant it. What are you doing? You're trying to make the part of you that got hurt, the part of you that's always hurt, the part of you that's scared, feel better by somebody apologizing, by somebody doing something. You're never going to win that way. The moment anything else happens, that part's going to come right back up again, because that part has a problem. What you need to do is help that part. You're the grown-up, and so you come in there and you see a part of you get hurt, your heart hurts, you get scared, you get insecure, you get lonely. You just take one look at it and say, I'm okay, you're not. I can handle the fact that my heart hurts. You have to be able to handle the fact that your heart hurts, because otherwise you will devote your life to manipulating people, places, and things around you so they don't hurt your heart. You gave in to the lowest part of your being. You just devoted your life to the lowest part of your being. And now you have to bother everyone around you and every situation around you to be the way the lowest part of your being needs to be. I don't want you to do that. It's crazy. It doesn't go away. You know darn well, if you get someone to behave to where it doesn't hurt your heart, if they do one single thing 30 years later, it'll hurt your heart. You didn't solve the problem. It didn't go away. I don't want you carrying that burden. There is a way to not carry that burden. Just like there's a way to stop smoking. There's a way to stop drinking. There's a way to not carry that burden. You just have to learn to do it. It's work. You need to do the work that's necessary. Otherwise, it is going to run your life. You know it runs your life. It'll pick who you marry. You don't even get to pick who you marry. That's why we have so many runaway brides. It changed its mind. It'll tell you, oh, that's my man, that's the soulmate. And until you get, I'm not sure. Right or wrong? Come on. We all go in there. We just control it a little bit, right? Net result is, now we're going to talk about how to properly deal with those parts of your being. Because I'm telling you, every single one of you can find peace in there. And you don't have to wait until everything around you gets the way you think it needs to be for you to be okay. First of all, because you're wrong. It doesn't matter how it would be, you wouldn't be okay. You just find something wrong with it because the part of you you're dealing with has got a problem. So what it takes is for you to be in there and say, I live in here. This is my house. This is your house. You live in here, don't you? You lived in there for a long time. We got some work to do in here, and we're going to do the work. It's nobody else's work. It's my work. I'm the only person in here. I always see your eyes light up when I say that. Anybody else in there with you? There's never been anybody else in there with you. You're the only one in there. This is your stuff. You got to deal with it. All right, how do you deal with it? You take one look at it, and you say, first and foremost, I can handle you. I don't want to see a parent that has a 2 or 3-year-old that they can't handle. The parent needs to be able to handle the situation that's taking place. That means if the kid is throwing a tantrum, the parent is not freaking out. The parent is present, they are clear, they are centered, they are able to handle the embarrassment that they're feeling, that in the middle of Sears, the kid's throwing a tantrum. They can deal with the situation from a clear, centered point of view. Fair enough? Isn't that what you'd like to see the parent do? That's what I want you to do. You're the parent. If the kid throws a tantrum in there, Your first and foremost responsibility is to be able to handle it, to be able to stay calm, clear, and centered and see, oh, there it goes again. Can't take you anywhere. Make a joke out of it. I told you, there was a time, a little time, I can see the moment where my heart, that part of my heart, stopped being able to run my life. It was a very long time ago. When it started hurting, something happened and it really started hurting. And I started to want to fix it. And all of a sudden I remembered this kind of way of looking at things. And I took one look and I said, is that the best that you can do? You can do better than that. Come on, hit me with your best shot. And it was just like the heart looked up, what? Like you usually pamper me or take care of me or do what I want. I ain't doing that anymore. I'm going to sit here, you throw your little tantrum, and we ain't saying nothing. I'm telling you, it is exactly the same as stopping smoking or drinking or any other habit. It's a habit. And at first, it's very difficult to break because you are used to being a baby. You are used to giving in to whatever this thing says. If something happens and he or she doesn't like it and starts causing trouble, you don't know what to do. So you try to make sure the thing doesn't happen because you can't handle yourself. Have we communicated that? If you can handle yourself, then it doesn't matter. You're fine. All of a sudden, you're liberated. You can go about your business doing other things besides trying to pamper that thing. So you get to the point where first you wake up and you realize, I do not want to devote my life to the lowest part of my being. I want to devote my life to the highest part of my being, which happens to be me. All right, I'm the boss. I'm in here. This is my house. And yes, I have a heart and emotions and mind and crazy things in here, but they're not going to run my life. That's your first step. So how do you do that? It's easy. You don't let them run your life. Oh, you mean just suppress them? Oh, I would not advise that. They will come back in spades. They will come back on steroids. Okay? If you sit there and take the energy of insecurity or self-consciousness or something like that and you say, no, push it away, you're taking real energy and bottling it up. It is going to build up and explode. That is all you need to know about psychology. Freud would be so proud of us. I mean, that's it. You can't do that. But notice that you're the one who's doing it. If you start to feel something you don't like, if you start to think something you don't like, and you don't want it there, you push it away. Have you ever pushed it away? Pushed thoughts away because you didn't want them. Pushed feelings away, you don't want to have them. So you have hands in there. So one thing you can do with those hands is suppress. I do not advise that. Another thing you can do with those hands is make these hands be the extension of those hands and start manipulating everything outside of you, your mouth, your hands, everything, to try and make it so that situations don't bother you. No, there's another thing you can do. People don't know about this. And this one works. And every moment you do it, you become a higher being. What is that? Keep your hands to yourself. Outside and in. I don't like that way. I know. It's like stopping smoking. You don't like that either. You keep your hands to yourself. What do you mean? Somebody says something. It causes a little... I'm not talking about major thing, but somebody says something that you didn't like. And you start feeling weird inside. Generally, it would ruin your day. You'd have to go talk to 3 people and talk about how bad that person is. And don't they say bad things about everybody? Can you imagine what they said to me? What would you do? I would just die. You're just sitting there. What are you doing? You're trying to get rid of the yicky energy that happened inside of you because you couldn't deal with it inside. You're dumping it on everybody else. You're trying to talk your way out of it. I like that. Or you suppress it. There's a third thing you can do. You can sit there and look at the little baby and say, oh, did that hurt you? Poor little thing. Give a little kiss on the head. We'll be all right. And then relax. You relax. You just relax. Keep your hands to yourself. Relax. And what you will see if you give it room is it will pass. Not if you keep looking at it, it won't pass. If you keep touching it, it won't pass. It's energy. It's just energy that you're feeling inside that's blocked up. And therefore it can't go anywhere. Give it room. I swear to you. I'm so neat that we're this deep in the talk and we're this early. We're going to go deep tonight. Give it room. It needs to pass. You back off. You. Who's you? You. You in there. That's what I'm talking to. You relax and keep your hands to yourself and just relax your heart, relax the whole system, and then give it the room. If there's something outside that you can distract yourself with, that isn't harmful. I'm not talking about give up cigarettes and go drinking, all right? I'm sitting here saying play an instrument. I'm sitting here saying go golf. I'm sitting here saying run a little bit. I'm sitting here saying go work out. Do it consciously, willfully. Understand there's this energy inside of me that's caused some disturbance. Instead of bothering everybody with it, instead of getting caught up in it, I am going to put my consciousness elsewhere. It could be a mantra. What is a mantra? Start saying something in your head that's neutral. I'll say the name of God. It can be anything you want, right? God, 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 God. Just a nice thing to say, right? So what does that mean? It means something happens, it causes a disturbance. My mind starts going, why did he say that? Oh my God. And all of a sudden, I have this habit that says God, God, God. I now have a choice. And I mean, you can say love, you can say peace, you can say anything you want, then to be God. I have a choice. I either pay attention to the noisy one that's coming from my lower energies, or I pay attention to this higher willful act. And I'm telling you, your consciousness cannot do both at the same time. So if you move your awareness of being away from this noise, you give it the room to pass. That is not suppression. Suppression is when you push it away. The fact that you are not paying attention to it is just redirecting your consciousness somewhere else. If you redirect your consciousness, I'm telling you, these things will pass. They pass by. And you learn how to do this within yourself. It is the most important thing you will ever learn. What I find is fascinating is we are sitting here talking about the most important thing you will ever learn, and they don't teach it to you in school. They should teach it to you in kindergarten. You live in there. You do have these problems in there, don't you? Whoever taught you how to deal with it? Get yourself together. Go to your room. Get yourself together. Come back out when they're together. What does that mean? I don't know. All right? That's not the right way to do it. So you just wake up, and this is what the whole spiritual journey is about. Is you wake up, and the first thing you realize is, if I don't deal with me, I'm never going to be okay, nor is anyone around me. They're all going to crash and burn as I walk by. And so I want to deal with me. I want you to own you. You belong to you. This is called getting centered. This is real mindfulness. You are centering yourself at a deeper part of your being. Now, a moment ago I said there were many, many different aspects of your being. What's really beautiful is that aspect of your being, what aspect? You. I don't know what name to call it. You. Hi. You in there. Sometimes people come to me and say, oh my God, I get so nervous. I get so anxious. You know what I would do if you came to me that way? I would say, how do you know? Oh, you would get so mad. What you want is a technique? No, I'm not going to give you that. I'm going to ask you, how do you know? How do you know you're so anxious? How do you know you get uptight? How do you know that that's going on? And eventually you just look at me, you'll say, because I live in here and I see what's going on in here. And I see anxiety. You who said you live in there and that you watch the anxiety happening, you're not anxious. You're watching the anxiety. You who watches your heart hurt. It's little by little and it gets more and more, right? Who is that? And what I am suggesting is that yes, there are many aspects of what you watch, but there's only one you. Like if you feel love, it's you who feels the love. If you feel anxiety, it's you who feels the anxiety. It's the same you. In fact, when you go to sleep, do you dream? How do you know? How do you know you dream? I'm asking a serious question. There's things you just take for granted. You wake up and say, oh, I had this weirdest dream. Let me tell you about it. Who had the dream? Me. Well, you were sleeping. Well, no, I was there. I had the dream. You're so cute. It's the same consciousness. There's a continuity of consciousness, isn't there? Isn't it the same you who watched the dream as the you who's listening to me? You know yourself as yourself. You just, when you're sleeping, you're watching inside. When you're awake, you're watching outside. It's the same you. So there is many different aspects of what you watch, but there's only one witness. There's only one watcher. There's only one center of consciousness. We call it the sentient being. It's very Buddhist, but you don't have to be Buddhist. What the yogis call the Atman. What the West Judeo-Christian calls the soul. You. The core of your being. The one who's living in there. You say, oh my God, my body's not feeling well. Whose body? Oh, my mind's driving me crazy. My mind just drives me crazy. Whose mind? There's only one of you in there. Isn't that beautiful? So this is what it means to get clarity. There's one of you in there, And you start to say, I have some work to do. Real work. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take some work. You don't quit smoking overnight. At least not finish. You have work to do. How do I do this work? 1, I decide I want to. So I don't give in to every little thing that the lower part of my being does. So I decide that I want to, and I'm telling you, you can do all the techniques you want. When it's said and done, it is an act of will. Not an act of will to suppress, an act of will to relax and release. What happens when my mind starts bothering me? What are you going to do? You have to take that test. Oh my God, you're going to take that test. You're going to fail that. I know you are. You shouldn't even take it. And it starts doing that. You take one look at it. That's how you do it. You take one look at it. You're a rational being. And you say, is that helpful? Is that a constructive thought that's going on in my head? No, I don't think so. That's not going to help me one iota. It's going to make... I can't study because I'm worrying about what will happen if I don't study. I can't study because I'm afraid I'll fail. I'm worried about what's going to happen if I fail. That's why you don't study. That's really good. That's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. It'll do that with everything. I'm afraid to commit myself in a relationship because I might find out later that I don't really love the person. Well, you're never going to solve that. Ever. Because anything could happen later. No, I want to make sure that I'm sure now and I'll be sure later. It doesn't work that way. You can't know the future. And so basically, you come down and you take a look at your thoughts, because you are in there and you do see your thoughts, don't you? You have thoughts? Do you or do you not have thoughts? Who does? Me. I can see them. And you take instantly, the minute the thought starts, this is what I want you to do. I want you to label it. Constructive, destructive. Just, you can see it. You know it. Is that a neurotic thought? Gibran's, the prophet's got this beautiful line. I've always loved it. He said, the thirst that exists when your well is full is the thirst that is unquenchable. Sounds like poetry. No, it's not poetry. It's the deepest truth in the universe. If you say to me, oh, my well, I ran out once. Can you come and dig a deeper one? Yeah, I can. It's dug. Is it full? It's full. But it ran out once before. What if it runs out again? All right, I'll dig you another one for a spare. Okay, thanks a lot. You dig it. Is it full? Yes, it's full. What if the water table goes down and then both of them don't get water? There's no solving that mind. It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter where you move. The thirst that exists when your well is full, in other words, the one you worry about, what if it's not, is the thirst that can't be quenched. You have to be careful of letting your mind do that to you, because it will do that to you. It's very capable of finding something wrong with everything. You can't let it do that. You take one look at it and say, mind, you're really smart. I'm so proud of you. Leave me alone. I'm going to live my life. How many things could go wrong? So many that it's unbelievable. Well, what if I don't want to do anything until I know nothing can go wrong? Then you're not going to do anything. So I'm teaching you how to get out of this mess. There is a part of your being that's insecure. I would highly advise not letting it run your life. There's a part of your being that worries about everything. I would highly advise not letting it run your life. Why? Because it worries about everything. If you look at the most insecure part of your being that's afraid of being hurt, and you want to make sure that it gets to a point that it's not afraid of being hurt before it does anything, you will never do anything. So what you have to do is be able to handle the fact that you have a part that worries, that you have a part that's scared, that you have a part that's insecure. You just wake up and realize, oh, God gave me many things, including that. I got 10 fingers, 10 toes, a nose, and a part that's insecure. That's cute. Can you live with it? Or do you have to let it run your life? When you're letting it run your life, you're basically saying, I'm going to devote my life to the most insecure part of my being to try and make it so it's not insecure. You can't make the most insecure part of your being not be insecure. That's its nature. It's allowed to be insecure. How do you like that? It's okay that I have a part of my being that is so insecure that I don't even want to go there. I wouldn't even tell you about it. And I've learned to live with it. What do you mean you learn to live with it? When it talks or it sticks its head up, I pat it on the head a little bit, I give it a little kiss, and I say, it'll be all right. And it goes, how do you know? I say, because it's always all right. Because the universe has been here for 13.8 billion years. And just look, there's people, places, planets. It's all right, man. It's worked out pretty good. You don't have to own it. But you don't want to convince it that it's okay. You don't wait until it feels okay. You say, You'd be okay. Let me go back to work. I got to go back to work now. All right? You're the grown-up. And you sit there and just turn your attention somewhere else. Don't suppress. Don't dislike it. Just learn to be okay with it. You do it with your body all the time. You get a mosquito bite. It itches a little bit, but you're working. You don't leave work. You learn to go about your business even though you have a boo-boo. I like to call it boo-boos. You have boo-boos inside. You do much better with your outer boo-boos than you do your inner ones. It's like you're so sensitive and so strong, so you need to change that. So you take a look at it and you realize, first, I accept. I don't deny. I accept that there are these different parts of my being. That I'm the conscious being, and when I look in there, there's things that go boo in the night. And I'm okay with that. I worship it. I honor it. I accept it. I'm okay. I can deal with that. Now, all of a sudden, because you're okay with it, you're not fighting with it. And because you're not fighting with it, you don't make it worse. So, like I said, it sounds complicated. The easiest thing to realize is just relax. The minute something starts getting disturbed inside, your first action is to relax. Relax your chest, relax your buttocks, just relax. And inside, relax. And then when it moves a little bit more, your tendency is to do something about it. You don't need to. Just give it room. It will come and go. The first time you do that and you realize, my God, I've devoted my life to this thing that will just come and go. That's so stupid. So your husband, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, doesn't say something you expect at the right time or says something a little different than what you expected. All of a sudden, you start to go like that. And then she's about to build it to, oh my God, maybe he doesn't love me anymore. I mean, no, he forgot to ask something, you know. He's just blowing the thing up. All the insecurity gets into it. Come on, you know what I'm talking about. How about not doing that? You yourself. Don't expect him or her to change what they said. Don't do anything. Just say, this is a time for not listening to that part of my being. And you're going to see that it doesn't get as big if you don't participate in it. So you keep relaxing and releasing your way through these parts of your being. And what will happen over time is they will pass. Everything passes. And when they pass, they will leave you to be within yourself. And eventually some very beautiful things happen. First, you find out that all your relationships start being much better and that you stay longer at your jobs. Because when somebody criticizes you, you don't freak out and run away. You're able to handle yourself. That's what I wanted to talk about. Have you ever decided that the purpose of your life is to learn how to handle yourself? It's like learning how to drive. You don't want to be on the road and not know how to drive. It's no fun at all. You get run over. Inside, you learn how to deal with these different parts of your being that come up. All right, now what? Because everybody thinks that that means you don't work outside. Let's get this straight. If you are working inside yourself, and I'm talking about every second of your life, you are a conscious being, things start to shift inside, you are driving. You are in control. Not control meaning controlling the thing, but you are in control of your consciousness. You're centered. You're clear. So you don't find yourself getting lost in these different things that move inside. If you do this, what happens is, and it's hard to talk about, like all that noise is like a cloud. It's like noise, it's cloud. And usually you're in it and you're lost. Now because you're not giving into it, you're relaxing, you're present and you see this cloud. Now what happens, at some point you can see over the cloud out into the world in front of you. I don't know how to describe it, it's so beautiful. The noise is still there, it doesn't go away, but it's not as noisy and you are further back because you've stayed relaxed. Now all of a sudden you look outside and you see something totally different than what you saw before. You actually see a person who needs help. You see a situation that has to be dealt with. You see a boss who's trying to tell you something, as opposed to you see the cloud getting disturbed by everything that's going on outside, so you can't see past the cloud. You start seeing everything that happens now. When it happens outside, it causes disturbance inside. And so now you can't deal with the outside. You don't realize that. You're not dealing with the outside. You're trying to use the outside to fix the inside. You're not dealing with the outside. You're using the outside because you want to deal with the inside. You're so disturbed, you're so scared, you're so nervous, you're so whatever the heck it is, that the only thing the outside means to you is a way to try and help you inside because you're drowning. When that stops, and it can stop, believe me, it can stop to where it never ever happens again. What doesn't happen again? That you get lost in this stuff. It doesn't mean the stuff's not there. It doesn't mean that things doesn't cause these little feelings, little insecurities, little self-consciousnesses, whatever it is, little things. It's that you don't get lost in them. You're able to relax your way through them. Now, like I said, at some point the dust settles down and all of a sudden you have a clear day. You look outside and you see that people are talking to you. People need some help. And you start dealing with the outside instead of having to devote yourself to your problems. I'm telling you, your entire life changes. For one thing, you become so much more competent than you ever were before. Can you imagine being in a relationship that if somebody's having a problem, they come home and they had a hard day, that the person actually cares about the fact that you had a hard day and I want to work with you? Not, how could you talk to me like that? And all of a sudden, they're only dealing with themselves. And now everyone's having a hard day. How about giving somebody a little space? You can't give them space if you don't have any. You ever heard the expression, give me some space? You ever heard somebody say, I can't? That's right. You can't, because the very act of giving him space makes you feel more insecure. I'm talking about getting above your stuff so you can be of service to other people. I once equated it, though some people don't like it, to a nurse who can't handle blood. So a patient comes in and they're bleeding. Well, this nurse can't handle blood, so now she has to deal with the fact that she can't handle blood. I feel faint. Oh my God, I feel sick. I don't want to deal with this. She's doing anything she can to not have to deal with herself. Well, what if she could handle it? Could handle the part of her that gets wheezy about blood. Okay, I'm above this. I'm a professional nurse. They can actually help the patient that's bleeding. Your whole life is that way. You don't realize it. You are wasting your life by devoting it to the lower part of your being. And so now you can't live your life. You have to manipulate and control people, places, and things because you're too freaked out. You got to get it the way you need it to be. If you can get behind yourself, you become of service to the people, places, and things around you. That's why people sometimes ask me, I talk about letting go. They say, but why would you do anything? It's so funny. It's so hard to talk about because we're so lost in doing it for ourselves. We're so lost that our motivation is need, our motivation is fear, our motivation is anxiety. So all of a sudden, if you didn't feel that anxiety or it wasn't running you anyways, why would you do anything? Because you care, because you feel love, because you're serving that which is around you. You actually help people. And all of a sudden, life becomes much, much easier for you and for everybody else. But you can't do that if you can't handle yourself. If you can't handle these parts of your being that move inside, I'm telling you, you will devote your life to them. If you devote yourself to that, look what you've done. Again, you've devoted your life to the lowest part of your being. If you can handle yourself, they become nothing. They just become like little boo-boos on your body. You got little boo-boos inside. Every once in a while, they stick their head up, and you just smile. Oh, you're still there. Look at you, you're so cute. Look, there's jealousy. I was seeing you for so long. Look at you. Keep your mouth shut. You want to be jealous? You do what you want inside. I'm just going to relax. There's a thing called jealousy. Anybody ever felt jealous? Every single one of you know what I mean by jealous. It's a thing you can feel inside. Are you comfortable with it? No, of course not. Because you're not comfortable with it, you have to make everybody else not comfortable. And I mean really make everybody else not comfortable. So you just get to the point where you decide, I am going to deal with this. And you relax your way through it. You just relax your way through it. Sometimes you have to grit your teeth. Wait till you see what happens outside. You stop screwing up your outside. And everything becomes more peaceful and more beautiful. So this ability to look above yourself, to look past yourself, and deal with what's actually there is a major phase in your growth. Then what happens? I mean, there's more? Yeah. We haven't even started for it to be nice in there. All you did was make it not nice. Now it's not caustic in there. It's a little more comfortable. Then you get to the point where because you're clear and because your lower self doesn't make you devote your life to it, and because your outer environment becomes much calmer and easier because you're not throwing tantrums at it all the time, now all of a sudden, your own being, you, the consciousness in there, you start to feel love like you never felt before. You start to feel a joy of life and enthusiasm and excitement. You're always turned on. You're always excited. You're always passionate about what? everything. It's the weirdest thing in the world. It's almost as if there doesn't need to be a thing to make you be inspired. You're inspired. And then whatever's in front of you, that's what you're inspired about. You don't need something to make you feel love. You're just filled with love. And so whatever's in front of you, you feel love for it because you're filled with love. Just like right now, whatever's in front of you, you're afraid of it because you're full of fear. You feel insecure about it. It's the opposite. Now, because you're not hanging out with the lower part of your being, notice I didn't say I wasn't there. That's the main point of this talk. It does not have to go away. You have to stop devoting yourself to it. Those are two totally different things. The act of trying to make it go away is an act of devoting yourself to it. I don't ever want to feel jealous. I don't ever want to feel fear. I don't ever want to feel insecure. What do I need to do? Build a house over here, put bars on the windows, get the right person. All right? No. You learn to be comfortable with it. Now that you're comfortable with it, you're not stirring it up and causing commotion. Now you see above it. When you can see above it, your whole life becomes so much easier because you're dealing with a higher level of life. Now, because you're not dealing with your lower stuff, you can naturally start to feel love. Well, why would I feel love? I'm telling you feel love. You're at home alone. There's absolutely nobody. And you sit down and you want to watch TV, but you can't because you get so filled with love because you sat down. And you wake up in the morning and there's this bliss, ecstasy, just waves and waves of ecstasy pouring through your being. What is that? What is this state? It happens to be, eventually you'll find out, it's who you are. All the rest of the stuff was stuff you were experiencing that was below you. Now you've gotten your head out of there and you can start to feel the nature of your being. You in there. You, the one I've been talking to. You're very beautiful. You are, in fact, the most beautiful thing that ever walked the face of this earth. You're love. That's the nature of your consciousness, of your being. In the East, we call it Satchidananda, eternal conscious ecstasy. At all times, that's all it experiences, is love and ecstasy, and it's aware of it all the time. It is reveling in bliss. Well, why don't I feel it? Because you're putting all your awareness on the lower part of your being. If light, the brightest light that could ever be, shines on something that can't reflect it, guess how dark it all is? It doesn't mean the light's not shining. It means it's shining on something that's non-reflective. So it looks dark and dull. That's what you're doing. You're taking the light of your consciousness, the greatness of your awareness of being, and being aware of something that's dark. your own dark stuff. It's there. There are these lower parts of your being. See, I'm not denying it. You can't sit there and say, oh, Mickey denies these. No, I don't deny them at all. It's the opposite. I completely accept them. So much so that I don't have to hang out with them. I don't devote my life to them. They're like weather. Sometimes it rains. I like rain. Sometimes you feel insecure. That's cute. Is your little insecure person good at being insecure? Could they win the acting award of the year? They're very good at it, aren't they? Whatever they do. Enjoy it. Be comfortable with it, but don't devote your life to it. Now you have done what's called transcended your personal self. That's what that's called. You rose above the personal self. You're capable of doing that. And because you rose above it, it doesn't pull you down into it. Because it doesn't pull you down into it, you get to stay above it. You get to be there. There's no effort. You're just there. Now what? You start to experience you instead of experiencing it. And who you are is incomprehensible. Who you are is what Christ, every bit of teaching he ever taught, when he said the kingdom is within you. The kingdom is within you. All of that, all that beauty, all that love, that's so beautiful. So if you will do this, but notice how we started. We didn't start with that. We started with accepting that you can handle the stuff that moves inside of you. Do the work. Just keep relaxing until you can handle it. Then you will find eventually that there are these higher aspects of your being. What do you do then? Then it gets really nice. What happens, you start feeling this joy and this love, and all of a sudden you're being fed from inside. Man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that leaveth the mouth of the Father. You start feeling that. I'm not talking about once in a while. I'm talking about all the time. You're being fed at all times from inside. Fed meaning when somebody compliments you, it's nice, isn't it? You feel a rush. When you're special moments, you feel it. That kind of fed. You're constantly feeling this upward love, upward flow all the time. So now you don't have any problems anymore. Why would you have problems anymore? You're doing fine. And the funny part about it is the outside does fine. Why? Because you're more conscious. Everybody else is busy using other people to try to get what they want. Well, that's not very nice. It doesn't work out very good, believe me. There's no teamwork there. All of a sudden, this person's sitting there trying to actually deal with things, trying to solve problems, trying to get people to work together. And I'm talking about business. I'm talking about relationships. I'm talking about anything, everything. You're just clear. You're calm and clear. Therefore, you're not reacting to situations. You're actually making clear decisions, and you will do better than everybody else at every single, even athletes. This is what they're trying to teach the athletes, to be present in the moment. They talk about a football quarterback that have a short memory because he throws an interception or gets intercepted. Why? Because if you have that on your mind, now you can't make a good decision. The thing's in the way. You're the same way. If you can let go of yourself, you'd be present, you'd be sharp. They call it being in the zone. You ever hear the athletes talk about being in the zone? This is the zone. It's when your lower self is not owning your energies and your consciousness, all of a sudden you're clear enough. Now you start feeling great joy and great power and great love because that's who you are. And then eventually, it takes time. You become so comfortable there that it's not a matter of feeling it and wanting it and not losing it. You start to wonder where it comes from. It's a lot of love. There's this constant upward flow of energy. Where's it going? What's going on here? You're not thinking these things. You're just experiencing them. And all of a sudden, your whole life becomes about that flow inside. You want to know more about it. You want to know where it comes from. You want to know where it goes. And so you start to have a relationship with spirit, because that's what that is. It's spirit. We use the word Shakti. Chi, Shakti, all right? This energy that's flowing. It's real. It's as tangible as if somebody grabbed your arm and held it. It's not etheric. When that energy is flowing inside of you, the rush of holy waters that are on the Bible, when that water is flowing inside of you, it is as real as somebody grabbing your arm and holding onto it. You're experiencing, it's like wind blowing across your face. You don't see it, but you feel it, don't you? It's not etheric. It's the same thing inside. And now your final stage of your spiritual and human growth takes place, which is you decide you want to devote yourself to finding the source of that energy. The only way to find it is to let yourself into it. You just keep letting go. You let it have you. We talked about before, when you lose yourself in it, you start to just lose yourself in this flow. And that's where the yogis and great masters and great spiritual people went into the higher states, where they literally, Christ said, my Father and I are one. You meant you lost yourself and merged. And what all the great yogis and great saints of all times and religions have said is when they let go enough, their sense of individuality became universal. They lost themselves as something small, and they merged back into an ocean of consciousness, into just this total awareness of the whole universe. They became universal instead of being individual. Right? In yoga, they say the Atman merges into the Paramatman. Right? That the individual soul falls in. Like I said, Christ said it very beautiful. I love the teachings of Christ. I'm a nice Jewish yogi, and I love the teachings of Christ. They are the essence of truth, as are the teachings of Buddha. Like if you get right back, they all said the exact same thing, which is you are not who you think you are. You are not who you think you are. You are the most beautiful thing that walked the face of the earth. Again, how did Christ put it? As I sit by the throne of my Father, I mean that merged state, so you shall sit by my throne. And these things that I do, you shall do these things and even greater things. So what's he telling you? You're the same as me. That same state is inside, that state of oneness. So that's when it gets really high. And when you start going to those states, you are so merged. You know how you get around somebody who's angry, you can feel it? Yes or no? You're around somebody who's greedy. You don't want to be near them. It can give off heat. You know what I'm talking about. You have to be psychic. Get around someone who's not there. Get around someone that all that's left is the awareness of being, and it is not being filtered and disturbed by anything personal. And you will feel an energy that will change your life. You could come into the presence of such a being, and it changes you, because they're vibrating at such a high level, and so much energy is coming through that being that you can't think the way you used to think. And so this is true spirituality, what we've talked about. We started at the bottom, which is there are parts of your being that are real, and they move, and you can't handle them. You're afraid of them. They run you. You give in. And because you can't handle them, you have to devote your life to them. If you say, I can't handle this, I can't handle this, well, then it's going to run your life. Don't be proud of yourself if you can't handle something. You might as well be in a car and you're driving and somebody cuts you off. I can't handle this. What did you do? I let go of the wheel and I jumped in the back seat. Okay, that's not a good idea. Please don't do that. All right? That's what it means to not be able to handle it. You do it inside all the time. I can't handle it. Like, oh, come on, man. You can handle anything you want to. I challenge you with that. You say, no, you can, Mickey. I can't. That's not true. I want to take you right to the edge where you want to say, I can't handle it. There you are. Somebody said something. Somebody did something. I can't handle it. Right? Get right there. And then I'm going to come right there and say, you can't handle it? No, I can't handle it. Right, I'll give you $100 million, and I will guarantee you that the next person you meet will be the most beautiful relationship you ever had, and God himself will bless it, and you will be happy for the rest of your life, if you can handle this. Done. Did you hear me? Right or wrong? Done. Ding. Jump. How high? I swear to God, you say, for how long? That's what you say. For how long do I have to handle it? All of a sudden you handled it, didn't you? It is not that you can or you can't. It's that you don't want to. You're not willing to assert the effort. I hope that by talking the way we did, from how messed up your life can be if you can't handle it, because you're devoting your life to the lowest part of your being, to how beautiful it all can be for you and everybody else, if you can, that you will do this work. This is called working on yourself. Isn't it beautiful? Right? It's working on yourself. All right. I hope we've communicated. It's a very deep topic. And you just start doing it. It's not going to happen overnight. It doesn't matter if you fall down, you get up. It doesn't matter if you fall down 7 million times. It's better than not trying. You are better off continuously trying to stop smoking than you are just giving in and keep smoking 2 packs a day. You are better off trying. If you know something is destructive, you're better off not doing it. That's as simple as that. But what if I fail at not doing the destructive? You're better off than giving in to the destructive. At least you tried a little. So you take one look at those thoughts and emotions. That's what I have you do. And be conscious and say, do I want this running my life? And if the answer is no, deal with it. All right. Work with these things. Jagrata.